My 16-year-old female parents divorced. With Mia, my dad remarried 8 years ago. Together, they have a 3-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. We were never friends. Things have changed as I've grown older, but she's always felt threatened by me. Since Mia, my dad has undergone significant transformation and has become more distant from me. Due to a persistent disease, I require frequent admissions. For weeks at a time, Mia has made sure my dad doesn't pay me a visit while I'm in the hospital. I gave up expecting him to be incredibly present, and now he has his children to worry about. I still adore my amazing mother, but I don't need him as much as I did when I was younger. But lately, things have been alright. I love spending time with my step-siblings, who are 12 and 15 years old, when I visit. My father arranged for them to visit a beach. I had to go spend some time with my dad, he insisted. Since things had been improved, I said fine and became rather excited. My dad texts me the specifics of the flight for them. He advised me to get my ticket as soon as possible because he knew I was a window seat enthusiast and that the seats were filling up. I've saved money and work a part-time job, but I won't pay. My mom was furious and contacted him to find out why he couldn't pay for me. I replied back, looking foolish, saying, "Just pick any seat, I'm not picky." He responded, "No, I'm sorry sweetie, I wasn't clear. Can you cover your plane ticket?" He claimed he was old enough to pay for it and that he had enough money because he was covering everyone else's expenses. It's not a problem because this man has money. I see no money, yet he's got plenty of it. After a protracted argument, he maintained that since I am more of her daughter than his, she should be able to cover the costs. He pays for his dog of a wife and 4 children. I didn't see why I was required to pay, but his stepson wasn't, since he also works. He had earlier advised me to bring additional cash in case I wanted to shop or eat anything that I could understand. He phoned me after their conversation, explaining that it's not that he's rude, he just has a lot on his plate. I told Mia the other night that I wouldn't be attending and that I hadn't received a ticket yet. I remarked that I couldn't afford it and that I wasn't as fortunate as some to have a sugar daddy to support my artistic endeavors when she responded, fictitiously, "Why not?" She advised me to keep an eye on myself and consider myself fortunate to have been invited and extended a stay in the 6-bedroom Airbnb that my dad had booked. She advised me to ask my mom to cover the cost instead of being a pain in my dad's side. She expressed her evident disapproval of me being there, but she soon softened her tone and claimed that since I'm the most responsible of the 3, my younger siblings would love having me there and she and my dad could go out a few nights together. I called her a B and said, "You'd be a big help," but that was a funny joke. I also informed her I wasn't going to be her free babysitter. She sobbed to my father. He's mad with me now, telling me to just stay away since I'm making everything so complicated and dramatic. Even if they pay, Opie shouldn't have purchased the ticket and shouldn't have gone, in my perspective. That is not how a father should treat his own daughter. Opie is very correct to point that out. Opie's father is a doormat who doesn't deserve to be called a parent, and his stepmother is a wicked person. Wait until Op sees her step-siblings receive automobiles, education cash, and eventually down payments on homes. I hope Op doesn't waste any more time forming a relationship with this sad man. See whether the community thinks the same as I do. Throwaway 51276. Not the a-hole. You called it. Absolutely right. They wanted a free babysitter and wanted you to pay for the privilege of doing it. Well done for standing up to them. Not the a-hole, Arabesque 85, say. They wanted to charge you for the use of your babysitting services. My heart hurts for the way they are treating you. Considering that your father is footing the bill for his stepson, I find the remark that she's more your daughter than mine rather startling. I'm so happy that you appear to have a kind and responsible mother at least. Says B. Jackson, not the a-hole. By extension, you ought to avoid communicating with your stepmother and father. Once you are an adult and financially independent, block him and explain why in a letter that you write to him and present to your mother. To be honest, I don't like your father because he seems very at ease abdicating his emotional and financial responsibilities towards you. You were not his child, you were an afterthought, like a friend or babysitter going on a family vacation. He passed up the opportunity to get to know you better because of his perceived financial problems. In retrospect, he may come to regret that, but it's his loss. In actuality, your father is a frail man who aspires to be a decent father but has the maturity, emotional fortitude, and cerebral fortitude. Your father lets your stepmother be as horrible as she is, but that's all she is. I would also advise your mother not to bring up your father with you. She doesn't have to tell you what he thinks or does. She just needs to talk to him. My best buddy, with whom I've been friends since I was a baby, and I went to college together, lived in the same apartment our final year there, and were neighbors throughout high school. He has always been a brother to us. Each of us is an only child. Since I can remember, we've discussed how we'll be each other's best men. Other than him, I don't really have any pals. I'm not outgoing. I met my fiancée, the love of my life, 2 years ago. My friend meets the fiancé's best friend, the maid of honor, a year into their relationship. Maid of honor and friend begin dating. My fiancé and I both knew that if they have issues, it may lead to issues in our relationship, but we also realized that there wasn't much we could do about it. How did we plan to proceed? Advise them not to go on dates? Their bond was strong, and the maid of honor thought he was worth delaying marriage for. I proposed to her a few months ago, and we are getting married in a little more than a month. My fiancée selected her lady of honor to be her maid of honor, and I asked my friend to be my best man. A buddy went out with some other pals 2 weeks ago, got wasted, and went home with a girl. The following day, he told me this, and he felt like a complete loser. I advised him to tell the maid of honor about it. It's only fair to her that he owns up to his mistake. If he tells her himself, she'll understand much more. It is the correct thing to do, he agrees. Maid of honor is furious, and rightly so. When I get back to my flat from work, she's there. In order to leave her flat, she packed her bags and requested her fiancé if she could stay with us. This is okay to me. I recognize that she's going through a difficult moment. The maid of honor broke up with him a week ago after deciding she could no longer handle dating. We're hosting her while she looks for another apartment. According to my fiancé, the maid of honor will not be able to handle attending the wedding, let alone walking down the aisle with a buddy. I can't tell him he can't be my best man, but I did tell her that they don't have to go down the aisle together or do anything together. Not only would it destroy us both, but it would also leave me without a best man. My fiancé offers her brother to be my best man and tells me I shouldn't even want to be friends with him anymore. She refused to let him even attend the wedding. She claims that one of them is unable to attend and that it is unfair for the maid of honor to be betrayed twice and then unable to attend the wedding because we decided to go with a friend instead of her. Friend is already heartbroken over how he damaged their friendship. You just don't turn on your best buddy for life because he made a mistake, even though I detest cheaters. I know that being the maid of honor presents many challenges, but since this is my wedding, I believe that my fiancé and I should have the last say in what we decide, and I shouldn't have to get married without a best man because of the maid of honor. Additionally, I believe that they should both come, act professionally, and stay away from one another rather than having to choose between the two. I mean, am I a fool for letting him be my best man? I think the friend ought to cancel the wedding. He was completely aware that what he did would have an impact on Opie's wedding day, but he didn't care. Therefore, I believe Opie is at fault here for showing no compassion for his fiancée and her closest friend, who suffered a heartbreak at the hands of Opie's awful pal. See whether the community thinks the same as I do. Not the purpose, but a wide away 224 indicates no a-holes save your best man. The maid of honor should set aside her foolishness for the day. It's all about you and your fiancé today. Make every effort to keep them apart. They shouldn't sit next to one another or stroll together. I agree that it would be unfair to welcome him, but deleted claims that there are no a-holes, only friends. Apart from obvious things like they're not walking the aisle together, I would personally retain the waiting as it is. It's the fault of the two if they can't put their poop aside for even a day. You shouldn't have to choose between you and your fiancé or lose a buddy because of their relationship. Now that a familiar spirit has come to claim that you're the bad guy for defying expectations, it's true that your closest friend made a huge mistake and the maid of honor should not have to walk, dance, or do anything else with him. Having said that, I believe he can still make it to the wedding and could even serve as a groomsman. But consider this from your fiance's point of view. You're essentially supporting your best friend, who is a jerk who cheats on you. It's highly likely that she's wondering if you plan to cheat. It's important that you and your fiancé discuss this in detail and try to work out a solution. Update: we were meant to get married months ago, but we had to postpone it until this past weekend due to unrelated reasons. The maid of honor moved in with a friend who was seeking for a roommate a few days after I wrote this. After she moved out, I started inviting friends over for hangouts 2 weeks later. My fiancé was aware that I was doing this, but I don't generally let her know the precise time. One day on my day off, my fiancé arrived home early from work while a friend was around and we were having a few drinks. After their altercation, this was the first time the fiancé and buddy had met in person. She sought his car after the event and came straight up to our room. She hesitated before answering when I followed her up there to ask whether it was alright that he was over, but eventually replied yes. She responded that she was tired and might come down in a little while when I asked if she wanted to come down and hang out with us. My friend asks whether he should depart a little later when I return. Fiancé descends, gets a drink, and joins us at the table. Despite the uneasiness I can sense in her, she swiftly joined the conversation. The subject of the maid of honor's performance came up after a few drinks. The fiancé claims she is doing well. Even if he made a mistake, fiancé assures her buddy that he is still a decent guy. She said that she wished the maid of honor could see past issues so that the wedding could proceed according to schedule. The scenario was starting to irritate the fiancé, who was also a little offended that the maid of honor couldn't put her personal feelings aside for her best friend's wedding. The fiancé informed the maid of honor that she had 3 days to make a decision or else she would choose a new one in less than 1 week. After some time, the fiancé decides on her cousin. The day before the wedding, the maid of honor calls her fiancé sobbing, telling her how much of a poor friend she feels and wondering if she can still serve as maid of honor. Though I knew it wasn't my place to voice my opinions, my fiancé accepted her. When the wedding day finally arrived, the maid of honor called the fiancé early to let her know she was unable to proceed. Fiancé was quite distraught. Fortunately, her cousin was willing to step in as maid of honor as she had practiced with her. The wedding went on, and although I was afraid the maid of honor would come up and cause a stir, she gratefully didn't. Her fiancé's parents were present, but there was no mention of the maid of honor. Wife is tired of her trash and is moving on from being maid of honor. She had months to decide whether to continue serving as maid of honor, and on the day of the wedding, she abandoned the role. I think we can all appreciate how horrible it was to be betrayed. My friend didn't seem like a bad person to me. I think they just made a bad mistake. But I'm relieved that my new marriage was unaffected by this. I appreciate all of your suggestions, encouragement, and critiques. I genuinely believe that everything helped me develop as a person and learn to see things from other people's viewpoints. Edit: I believe I should have done a better job of considering this from the maid of honor's perspective. I saw that we hadn't given her the greatest care or respect she needed. We were selfish about our wedding, even though it was one of the most significant days of our life, and I believe that's what was going on. And we might have sacrificed a friend as a result, I regret to inform you. My spouse and I tied the knot approximately a year ago. One of my husband's sisters is fairly wealthy. She used to give him money every month before we were married, which was a big benefit to him. However, after we got married, she has stopped sending him money and doesn't like me. But now she's up to something else. Both my daughter and my stepdaughter are 14 years old. My sister-in-law began assigning chores to my stepdaughter, such as walking her dog or doing the dishes. She'll give her money in return. She simply uses the employment as an excuse to give her money, and the money she provides her is far too much for the work that she does. As a result, even though my stepdaughter and I are struggling, she is currently leading a pretty nice life. Every day, my daughter eats the horrible tasting but incredibly inexpensive school lunch. On the other hand, my stepdaughter purchases lunch at a restaurant close to their school. We don't always have the money, so I asked her to occasionally buy her stepsister lunch, but she said no. And called her aunt instead, telling me to shut up and to leave her niece alone. You're the a-hole, Little Mac 18, and your stepdaughter earned that money. You have no right to control how she spends it. Your daughter needs your support, not that of another child. You're the a-hole. According to Little Helicopter 69, your sister-in-law is free to employ your stepdaughter and provide her the compensation she wants for these tasks. She is the one with the money. In addition, your stepdaughter is free to spend her money any way she pleases and is not obligated to use it to support your daughter. Says just another stranger. Wouldn't that be a kind thing for her to do? Indeed. She is more at ease, therefore do you have the right to demand it? Not at all. Would you wish your child to feel like a helpless victim? Not your 14-year-old stepdaughters, but you are the one who needs to support your daughter. Your sister-in-law gives your stepdaughter the impression that she earned the money, even if her goal is to give it to her. I've been seeing her for 3 years. We currently share a home and are both 22 years old. She was still on Facebook when I checked on our laptop. She was confiding in a friend that she felt a great deal of remorse about something. I was fascinated, so I took a quick look back and saw that she had a one-night affair with a guy she met at a party. She says she hates it so much and feels bad about it all, even if she was intoxicated at the time. She tells her friend that she's been wondering whether or not to tell me, and her friend just advises her to keep it a secret. She informed her that she was at a loss for what action to take next. The talk took place today, yesterday, and all of this occurred last Friday. Everything about her behavior makes sense. She was indulging me all weekend long and acting very affectionately without cause. I wasn't complaining, but she seemed much more kinky throughout our sex, and I wondered what had happened to her. I chose to wait to confront her till after my birthday because she is getting me an expensive gift that I had been wanting for a while. My birthday is in about a month. And then I'm going to break up with her. I'm working hard to maintain my composure in the interim, but it's not easy. Is this a foolhardy move? Everyone is bad here, Drakaya argues. This is so trivial. Although she is the one who cheated on you, I can understand how some people could think you're being a jerk. You might as well go with what you desire. Personally, I think I would wait. But everyone is terrible. Oh no, sweetie, you're not the a-hole, says Too Many Tacos. Grab that gift, give it some thought. Waster is able to consume trash. Everyone here is bad, according to Superfire 444. That much is clear, she sucks for cheating on you. It would be terrible of you to exact such retribution. Sometimes it's better to turn away and keep your head up rather than lowering yourself to their level. Hopefully, you're not this bad. Edit, if she chooses to confess, I do wonder. Who knows? She told her pal she didn't know what to do today. I didn't split up right away in part because of that as well. Rewrite, duck me, too well. She just opened up completely. She intended to inform me this morning, but after reading her message, I was feeling really grumpy. Even now, I'm not sure. Cried like a child despite knowing already. I'm a mess, too, but so is she. I'm just going to take a brief drive.